Donald Trump is under criminal investigation by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and he is facing a possible indictment in connection to a hush money payment made by his former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, to adult film star Stormy Daniels. That was shortly before the 2016 presidential election. Now, former President Trump posted allegations yesterday morning on his social media site, Truth Social, writing that it was leaked and that he expects to be arrested on Tuesday. The Manhattan DA's office has been pretty quiet on these legal proceedings as the investigation nears its end. The DA's office had no comment about this, and the office would also not confirm an arrest. There was an internal memo, however, sent out to his employees saying that the office does not tolerate attempts to intimidate the office or threaten the rule of law in New York. Speculations around Trump's claim have led to many questions. What will happen if he is indicted? What will happen if it happens on Tuesday or at a later time? How will the Manhattan DA's office, Secret Service, and the legal team navigate this unprecedented event? Joining us now to offer some insight on all of that, attorney Jeremy Saland, a former Manhattan District Attorney with New York County. So thank you so much for joining us. You have worked for 7 years as an ADA. I want to make it very clear. You never worked for Alvin Bragg. You never worked for Cy Vance, but you do have experience in that, and you are now in private practice. Let's just talk about the process of all of this. What is the first thing that happens? We are hearing that Trump thinks it might be Tuesday, but it seems like there would be a process that goes into effect before this.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me, but yes, that's correct. We're assuming that it's Tuesday, but that may not be an accurate assumption. Merely because Donald Trump says it's Tuesday, that could be just a preemptive effort on his part to control that message. But if there's an indictment coming, the DA's office should know, after this long-term investigation, the witnesses and this last witness, what to expect and what they expect to hear.
So what would be that communication between potentially the DA's office and Trump's team leading up to this? Would they organize an extradition? Would they organize a surrender?
This is an ongoing conversation. Again, it's not reactionary, it's proactive. So there's been many conversations about whether Donald Trump wants to testify, who's going to be coming to court, and ultimately, he will surrender. He's not going to have a warrant or a governor's warrant for his arrest. It doesn't behoove him to do so. So there's a discussion as to when and where.
Talk about the system of going into the court system. Can we expect, again, we are talking about if this happens, fingerprinting, what would the former president expect to see here?
Absolutely. So he would likely surrender himself to somewhere at 1 Hogan Place, which is the district attorney's office, and the DA squad, which is the NYPD that works for the district attorney's office. They have their own office there, and they will bring him in, fingerprint him, and they're going to hold him. Or some people say sit on the body, meaning that they're not going to put him into central booking. He's not going to be with everyone else in a general population. They're going to wait and then walk him through. And to a certain extent, he's not getting any favorable treatment because usually when there is a pre-planned surrender, there's these conversations about how you do it, especially if there's an indictment. But in the sense of the president, there's also security and practical concerns as well.
Sure. And so because of that, perhaps, would you expect things to be expedited because this is a former sitting president?
I would expect so. You have issues. What do you do with the Secret Service? Where do they go? Do you handcuff him? Do you place him in a cell? There's a lot of questions that you have to address. But I think those are easily addressed, meaning that you're going to treat him, I use the term kid gloves, but with respect and to expedite it because it's just the nature of this case.
Is there any world in which this is potentially done virtually if this happens, a court appearance virtually?
You don't see that as much, shockingly. During COVID, it was common and it routinely happened, but the courts unfortunately have swayed away and moved away, but administratively they do allow it sometimes, so it's certainly plausible, but it doesn't seem from what I'm hearing that will happen.
You brought up Secret Service and the security concerns going around this. If he is indeed in Manhattan or really anywhere, it brings up this whole idea of moving someone of that status back and forth, right? That requires a lot of coordination, I would imagine, between a DA's office and the NYPD and Trump's team as well.
Yeah, but not as much as you would expect. And the reason why I say that, this is not a bail-eligible offense, assuming, and again, we're all making assumptions, that this is some sort of white-collar falsifying business records or even a felony. And that's what we would expect coming out of a grand jury, not a misdemeanor. Mm-hmm. But this is a walk-through, not a bail-eligible offense, very nominal interaction at the arraignment, and then he's released, and then there'll be dates to return. So it's not as if someone has to be moved through the system internally. It's fairly easy in this capacity because he's not going in, if you will.
And there was a lot of talk about the post that he made on Truth Social yesterday saying that there was some sort of leak or leaks from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. It sounds like from what you're telling me that seems like it's not the process that would ever happen, because they would be in communication with his team in advance.
Right. There's always a chance of a leak. Do I think this came from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office? I would tend to think not. Again, it would make sense to control that narrative and get out in front of it. If you know or expect the indictment to come, you may say it's a leak, but that's just a way to say, this is coming, I'm an innocent person, and it fits that narrative of they're unethical, they're coming after me because of politics, and now they've leaked it.
Speaking of the politics comment that you just made, of course, district attorneys' offices are no stranger to high-profile events, being a target of the public eye, being controversial. And Alvin Bragg has certainly been a controversial figure. Many people already saying that this is a political witch hunt. A lot of Republicans saying that Bragg's policies show that he should be going after criminals in New York, not going after Trump for something like this. What are the conversations that you think are happening in a district attorney's office at a time like this? Because there is high profile and there is high profile of this nature. This is a whole nother level of high profile.
Correct. This is unique. This isn't high profile. This is on an island. It's separate and distinct. I would like to think that there's an equal justice approach, whether you're red or whether you're blue. It should be of no consequence. Whether you like Trump and think he's the best president, or you think he's someone who should not have run or should not be there at all, again, should be of no value to this investigation. I think that they have to really dot their I's and cross their T's, just so they would on any case, but they also don't want egg on their face and know that there's going to be such scrutiny that they have to make sure that they're doing this right and it's for the real reason. Otherwise, that's very problematic, even to a left-leaning, potentially, jury in New York City.
Jeremy, thank you for this insight. Again, emphasizing Jeremy here, not working for the district attorney, has lots of experience being an ADA. It's good to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.